Students, today's class we are going to talk about the information security governance best practices. So, actually, the information security governance it should follow the laws, regulations, and the policies. The senior managers have the major role, and they are framing the governance frameworks. And every individual in an organization have to be trained efficiently, and everyone are accountable. Okay. So any individual who is working there are accountable. And uh, here, we will be having the strategic planning, capital planning, and the enterprise architecture. We are following the enterprise architecture, and we will be having the different level of administrations will be there. So everyone will have to follow based on the framework which is communicated to them, right? Okay. And the performance are monitored. Okay. So through the monitoring, maybe the input may be given after they monitor the performance. So if at all anything to be changed, we can change based on the performance, right? Okay. So priorities and funding allocation to affect the improvements of security posture. Okay. So why IT governance is important? Important. It contains many new technology, and it is critical. It is critical, and IT is expensive and IT is pervasive. So when you go with the decentralized centralization, okay, so we can promote the customer responsiveness and the innovation. Okay. So similar way, when you centralize that one, and sharing can be included so that we can get the profit, right? Okay. So both centralization and the decentralization we can use it. So the directors whoever is there in an organization, they are responsible for the security standard, privacy legislation, spam legislation, and intellectual property rights, record keeping requirements, environmental legislation and regulations, health and safety legislation, accessibility legislation, social responsibility standard. Okay. So these are all the things have to be taken care by the directors. So what are all the benefits of information security governance? Okay. So actually the main thing is, it reduces the uncertainty, because everything that are kept in the system, so systematically it is going on. Okay. And the resources are allotted in an optimized way. When everything is managed by the system, you can efficiently know what are all the resources are free, and you can assure the security policies, and you can manage the effective risk, you can manage this, and you are accountable for safeguarding the information. Okay. There are some questions to engage the institutional leader. Okay. Whether the head of security routinely meet the institutional leader. Okay. So any head, security head, whether they are meeting the institutional head. Okay. So when is the last time the top manager got involved in security related decision? Okay. So really the managers are responsible for the security. Okay. Would people recognize the security incident? Really they recognize the security incident. Okay. So, so there are some questions to find out how managers addresses information security issues. Really manager, they addresses the information security issues. Okay. Whether the institution is clear on its position relative to IT and security risk. How much is spent on information security? How much is the cost? Okay, how much is the time which we have spent on information security? Okay, so the staff have given the sufficient security training or not? Okay, so there are some question has to be asked to assess information security governance practices. Okay, so whether the managers are confident. Okay, so whether the managers aware the latest information security issues and the best practices. Okay, so really they are confident or really they are aware about the latest information security issues. Okay, so what is the industry best practices? How does the institution compare? Okay, so any institution, whether they compare with the industry and whether they are doing that, in an industry standard. What can be done to successfully implement information security governance? So there are some questions has to be asked for the directors and the trustees. Okay. Does the board understand the institutional dependence on information? The people, those who are in the higher position, they have to understand the institution, facing. Okay. So whatever the problem which they are facing. Okay. So does the institution recognize the value and importance of information? Okay, really they value the importance of information. Whatever the information communicated to the director, whether they are valuing them. Okay, so does the institution have a security strategy? Really, they are having the security strategy. Okay, and the compliance. Okay, so does the board understand institutions potential liability in the event of regulatory non-compliance? So really they follow with the standards or not, right? There are some questions which has been asked to the manager. Okay, so how is the board kept informed of information security issues? Whether the board is informed about the security issues. Okay. So when was the last briefing made to the board on security risk and status of security improvement? Okay. So last time when the board has been informed about the risks of the security and also what are all the measures have been taken to improve the security. Okay. So whether someone is responsible for information security program and whether he or she is accountable for that one. Okay. So whether the security roles and responsibilities are clearly defined and communicated. Okay. So whether the roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. Okay, because if the roles and responsibilities are not clearly defined, people will say, I'm not responsible for this, like that people will say. Okay. So is there a chief information security officer or other officer with sufficient authority and resources to accomplish security objectives? Really, they have the authority to implement the security things. With this, we'll finish today's class.